This episode of Maverick in the Machine is brought to you by Jones Plantation Film. If you haven't seen the indie, soon-to-be cult classic Jones Plantation Film yet, go watch that film. It's available now at jonesplantationfilm.com. That's jonesplantationfilm.com and on most major streaming platforms.
Jones!
Also, my new film, Barnum World, is out now. And per the Indiegogo campaign we did, it's available everywhere for free. So you can find that at my YouTube channel at Drew Media TV, my Rumble channel. All my channels are basically Drew Media. And there'll be more platforms coming soon. Now, let's start this episode of Maverick in the Machine.
Insanity is what I call society. Don't tell me what to do, don't tell me how to be. I don't trust the government, I know they lie to me. They could like my body, yo, for my soul and mind to free.
All right, I've got a Maverick in the building on this episode. My friend, Dave, a.k.a. Nature Boy, the host of the Third Rail podcast, which airs every Friday night. And we'll get more into that later, and I'll have links for the audience's delight in the show notes. But what's up, Dave? Thanks for coming on, man. Nature Boy.
Thanks for having me, Drew, man. It's good to see you, brother. I always like hanging out with you, my friend.
That's right. We are actually in real life friends. We've spent time together, and I can vouch that you are all you're cracked up to be.
And dude. You are too. And you're a big man, by the way. First time I saw you, I was like, holy shit.
I'm a brick shithouse. I'm a brick shithouse. There's no question about it, yes. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
But do you have big hands? That's the important thing.
I'm proportionate.
Yes.
I know what you're leading to. Just in that area, I am proportionate. Hey, so for people in the audience who are not familiar with you or your work, possibly, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get going?
Yeah. Drew, where do I start? I had the podcast at Third Rail with Nature Boy, and I've been doing it about a year and a half. I've been a producer in various forms for about 20 years now, and predominantly before COVID hit, I did a lot of live music, concerts, festivals, a lot of club gigs. My favorite, though, was doing an educational program called Blues in the Schools, where I put together performance lectures that would go into K through 9 and community centers and stuff like that. And then 2000 came around and the COVID hit. Well, we all know what happens if you don't bend the knee in the arts community to the shot. You become, 1 minute you're the man about town, gigs turning down type thing. Next thing you know, you're a social pariah, and ain't nobody ringing my phone, and nobody calling me. And the people that were like, "Hey, buddy, what's happening?" are now like, they keep their distance, even if I see them in public, type of a thing. So I was like, "Ooh, okay, well, it's a good run." Did a lot of MCing for 10 years. Got real lucky. I worked with like over 30 Grammy Award winners and Emmy Award winners and stuff like that. And after that dried up, then I was sitting there thinking, well, what am I going to do? And ironically, on the last MC gig I did was for the Ray Charles Project. And the narrator of it and the bass singer, his name's Alvin Chee. I was talking to him. This cat has a voice that as soon as he opened up his mouth the first time, my head snapped around like Linda Blair in The Exorcist. And we got to talking, and he says, well, are you doing voiceover work? And I said, dude, I've been trying, but it's a hard nut to crack. So he's like, well, step in my dressing room. So we did, had a good conversation, and that put the impetus in me to actually try to get back into the game. And at the time, I had a little bit of extra money. My mom had just passed away. So I said, what the hell? It's time to build a studio. I got nothing else to do. Can't MC, can't produce. So I did. I spent probably 6-7 months building it, getting the equipment, learning how to operate it, learning how to set it up, building these acoustic panels and things like that. But I really had no use for it. I was thinking, I can use it to do demos. Well, that didn't work out. And in the back of my mind, there was this voice, kind of like what's that Kevin Costner baseball movie he put out? It just says, if you build it, Dave, they will come. All right. It's built. Where is everybody? And then it was Christmas night of 2020. A show I used to listen, well, I still do, I really like, called The Ocelli Effect. He was having a call-in. And you know him. In fact, the first time that we ever met was when I was his producer.
I didn't even know. It was, like, I didn't even know when I met you later. I didn't realize that was you until you told me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's a producer's job. Producer's job is to do everything else and to stay in the background.
I did see you, though, during the production, but then, like, I didn't put two and two together until you told me.
Oh,
You showed up in the, I don't know, somehow I saw you. I don't, maybe it was at the end of the show when we were like, you know, when you cut and you're like, oh, hey, we'll see you later, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
If
Either
I
way,
remember
who cares?
correctly, it was in the beginning because I always take the calls first, get everything set up, and then Chuck comes on. So that's probably where. But yeah, in some not too important.
Well, shout out to Chuck because he was like one of the first people to interview me when we
Really?
were about to launch Jones Plantation. That was like one of the first interviews I did, actually. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, Chuck's a good dude, man. I really learned a lot working for him, and really learned the chops of being a podcast producer. And it's a lot of work. It's not as easy as some people think that it is, but I enjoy it. That's why I do this, man. I don't do it for anything other but the love of the art form of production and public speaking. Because you and I both know there's no money in doing podcasts. You actually have to, in my opinion, have to have a love and a real desire to do this. So back to what I was saying about the producer. So I was a producer for about 2.5 years. And then that kind of ran its course. And once again, I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs going, okay, that gig's over. Guess I got to find another one. And I just realized one day, kind of said, dude, for over a decade, you've been taking your talents and skills and making others look good. Why don't you start your own show and take that same talents and skills and put it towards me? So I did. And it was about 2 years ago, almost to the date, I think, a little bit, about a week, I think mid-August. And I started pre-production. That lasted for about 3.5 months. And that was a lot because I was an audio guy, or a stage manager, that type of thing. I never did video. So I had to learn all these things like camera angles, f-stops, lighting, which types of lights to use, how do you place them, what color do you have them, and all that stuff. And after 3.5 months, I'd gotten everything together, gotten the format of the show, figured out kind of what I wanted to do. And then it was January 6th, 2024, when I did my first show. And that's when I did the pre-records. And it was Ricky Verandas. And that was, a year and 8 months ago. And long and short, here I am talking to you, dude. The director of one of my most favorite movies. So it's all a good thing. It's all beautiful.
Thank you. Who's Ricky Verandas?
He does the Ripple Effect, and him and Charlie Robinson do the Union of the Unwanted.
Okay, so he was your first guest. I've never heard of him before. Huh.
He's good.
I got to look into him. So you're are you a musician? Because you're producing like concerts and stuff like that, or what was your in there?
Just producing shows, concerts, festivals. I did a lot of club gigs. Whenever somebody needed to put a show together, I'd put the show together for them. Get the musicians together, book the room, get the sound guy, make sure everything's jiggy on the day, make sure that I do my job herding cats, i.e. the band is sitting ready to go on with a downbeat, as opposed to, what band members can do. We won't get into the gory details.
Musicians are notoriously idiots.
They are.
I've dealt with them. Yeah, I used to work at a radio station. Oh my God, especially when you get into the rap business. Oh my God, I don't even get me started. So how'd you get into that? How long were you doing that for?
I started that in 2004, doing the live production, and that all started because 2004. There's this cat that nobody knew about at the time. His name was Joe Bonamassa. Young cat. Now everybody knows who Joe Bonamassa is.
Yeah.
but I watched an interview with him, and he said that he was on the Blues Foundation's board of directors for the program called Blues in the Schools, and he talked about it. And I'm like, that's a really cool program. And I was looking for something to volunteer because I've always, in some capacity, volunteered. And I sent a letter to the local Blues Society, got a reply back, says, yeah, we'd love to join you. And then one thing led to another. I started doing the educational programs, which is my favorite things to do. It was the kind of a concert lecture series, depending on the budget of the school, the type of school. We either had a program where it was a two-parter, where the first part is we'd bring in the lecturer, and he would just give a lecture on not just blues, but blues was used as a medium to teach different educational disciplines. It's a real versatile form, just like the music. And he'd go in and do a lecture, and then about a week or so later, I'd bring him in with a full band. And then they'd go up there and they'd go through their whole set and blah, 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 and get the kids all riled up and get them all into blues music and stuff like that. Started helping out with an after-school program and decided that, well, I want to join the board of the Blues Society. So I did. And if you've ever been in a nonprofit board, there's more egos than there is work done half the time. But that's another story. And then I started getting into producing shows for them. You know, the club shows. They had like regular shows, like 5 or 6 a year. Well, I'm the dude that loved to do it, so I kind of gravitated towards it and started doing that for them. And then we did a couple festivals and a few concerts. Then in 2010, the NAACP came to us and said that they're putting on a big rhythm and blues festival at the California State Fairgrounds. So I'm like, hey, I'll sign up. Well, we're in a production meeting one time, and it goes around the table to the different people having the sets. Who do you have for an MC? It went around the table, then it came to me. And they says, Dave, who you got for your set? And I was like, what? I don't know. And then my buddy James Akil said, well, why don't you do it, man? You got the voice. I said, thanks, Akil. I appreciate the compliment, but I don't think I have the gift of gab that it takes to be on stage. And then Cynthia, the lead, amazing woman, in her beautiful country voice said something along the lines of, Dave, we all down folk home around here. You'll do fine. Boom. So this put me on to another path, and that was doing emceeing. And I vividly remember the first time I ever walked on stage. I'm backstage going over my notes, so nervous, Drew. You could take a piece of coal and put it up my poop chute, and I would crap out a diamond. That tight. Thinking, oh my God, I don't know. I'm seeing all this huge crowd out there, and I'm like, oh, geez, what am I going to do? It was the weirdest thing. And I remember I got my call to come to stage, my cue. And I walked on stage, and as I'm walking, I looked down at my brand new super shiny shoes I just bought. And in it, I saw the stage lights reflect up. And then when I looked up, bro, it was as if this whole other person took me over. And I walked out on stage. Well, I refer to him because it was me, but this dude walked out on stage and just killed the crowd, bro. I had him eaten out of my hand, and it was natural, just energy flowing. And I'm tripping out going, whoa, what's going on here? This is kind of really weird. And then I walked off the stage, and as soon as I walked backstage, that dude went away, and boom, I was back. And I was like, that's interesting. Well, one thing led to another. I said, well, I'm going to start doing producing and emceeing. So I, started emceeing wherever someone needed an MC for a club, mostly clubs at that time. And then I met a producer who did the Northern California Blues Festival, which is this huge festival in the hills of California. And I was going to approach him initially and say, hey, man, can I try like one set? And he came to me and says, dude, you want the whole 2-day festival? I was like, yeah, sure. You never say no to opportunity. Then I met Mary there, who was another promoter. And she's the one that I worked with for a good 10 years. One of my good friends, by the way. Yeah, her and her husband just moved out of state. And it was through her that I had this golden opportunity to work with Grammy Award winners from man, the names, George Thorogood, Keb Mo, the name goes on and on and on. Emmy Award winners, because that's what she kind of specialized in, is getting very well-known people in more the blues and the jazz genre. So, I mean, a lot of these people I've never heard of, but I know that I'd go research their pedigree, and it's like, oh, yeah, 3 nominations and 1 winner. All right, cool. Well, that was really fun. I enjoyed doing that. And then, like I said earlier, and I'll wrap with this, I know sometimes I get long-winded. If I do get long-winded, draw me back in, man. Draw me back in.
Yeah.
And then that came up to COVID. And I didn't take the shot. I will never take the shot. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, and I'm sure you experienced it, as soon as that came down, we got cut off like cancer or a big planter's wart, man. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the rundown of, my production work. I mean, my first real production gig is in the 90s doing radio. And I tell you what, Drew, I learned that if I want financial stability in this world, I ain't never, ever quitting my day job. And I never did. So, I mean, I did producing not as a full-time thing, but more just as a side gig. Stuff like that. And forgive me, I don't know if you can hear it, but my phone is ringing again in the background. So hopefully it doesn't come on. Okay, good.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. First thing is we are elders. Actually, I can't hear your phone now. It's all right, though. This is a good advice for the youngins out there, that because you're a man of action, and if you want to get involved in something, you just like volunteering is a great way. Just get in there and do something, and then you're going to meet people and show them your skill sets, and show them that you're competent, and show them that you're passionate, and you just never know where that's going to go. There's no way to, people, I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, like I hear this all the time with film people. It's like, man, just find out where the movies are being shot. Just show up and say, I'll work for free. Do whatever you want me to do. If it's an indie film, I guarantee you there's a really good chance they're going to say, go ahead, jump on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's like, I'll sweep the floors, man.
Yeah. And that's
cool.
what you did. You got involved, and you got to meet people, and you got to do things. And the other thing that, this is completely unrelated, but it's related to your story, is that you got on stage. What kind of crowd was it? Was it a big crowd?
The first time?
Yeah, the one you said with the shoes were reflecting off the lights. Was that like it was a festival, right? So it was a big, I imagine it was 20, 30,000 people.
No. Lines of probably 1,000 or 2.
Okay, it's still a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot. It's very
especially
intimidating.
when you're standing in front of them.
And you're the only white guy in the crowd. Oh, dude.
Well, that's another angle. That's a tough crowd, too. Comedians say the same thing about black crowds. Like if you're not funny, that you're in big trouble. They'll eat you up like a shark.
But if they
raw meat.
If they like you, your family.
Right.
Yeah.
But you jumped out of your ego, this nature boy guy that you're identified with, and you got into a zone, and you were in your actual true self, which is who you really are, which is consciousness, and you let it go, and then that's who you were. It's a really interesting thing. You hear that almost like any kind of profession like that, fighters, and I have the same thing. If it's a really good set and we're doing a scene, or it could be days on end where I'll get into a zone where I'm directing, and it's just like all the stuff just comes up, and it's not me. Yeah. I mean, it really isn't me. I mean, that's why I like with the creative process, I have so many freaking ideas. Like that's my bag, and I don't like people trying to take my ideas, but like I collaborate. I'll fight. I don't fight over like credits. I did that when I first started, and it just was a disaster. I said, okay, because I don't know where it came from. It happened because I was with you in this room at that moment while this thing was happening. This idea came to me. It wouldn't have happened if everything wasn't going on around me, So, and then I don't know where. It's not me. It just comes up from who knows where, right? Mm-hmm. It was a great feeling, right? Getting on stage and just like popping off like that.
I loved it, man.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
Is to get up on stage and let that other side of me come out. And my little secret, though, was Popeye had spinach, and I had 2 shots of Don Julio tequila 45 minutes before I went on. Help loosen the tongue out a little bit.
That's
Yeah,
a disaster for me.
yeah. For some people, it
Yeah.
is. Other
Yeah,
people,
that's right.
it's a benefit.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
we did not share the sacred elixir in Mexico this year. No,
No, we didn't. We didn't.
no, we didn't. I did. I drank a lot of it. Oh,
Yeah, you did. You would disappear. You were in that like weird garage apartment thing, and then I would like, you would kind of disappear, and then you'd show up at like midnight. Like, hey, Dave, what are you doing? And you'd be like, oh man, I just woke up. I took a nap.
that's it. It's Mexico time, brother. It's Mexico time. Oh, see,
I
that's
like
done
Mexico time. I'd like to live at least part time, and at least maybe not Mexico time, but definitely like Latin American time. I
would
love it
too.
down there. Yeah.
I do too. I mean, it's the people are good, the food's good. You know, it's not a place to F around and find out though. You know, but as long as you keep everything cool, it's great. I remember walking, coming down to Acapulco, it's like, ooh, cartels. And the first year they actually had a travel advisory for that weekend. Oh, don't go down there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
What? Everybody is so cool in Bonfield Beach. Even the stray dogs are cool, bro.
Yeah.
You saw that. Walking along, you're like, hola, perro. He's like, hey, gringo, ¿qué pasa? Hey, ¿qué tal, amigo? Adios.
Well, it's like I'm not going down there to try to move birds of cocaine. You know what I mean? Like it's an ancient mafia culture, and actually, just like the old Italian mob neighborhoods, you're actually more safe there because if you screw with the tourists, screw with the money, they'll kill you for that. They will stop you, and you're also, if you cause problems, you're bringing the federales in, and that's the last thing they want. So it's actually, like you said, as long as you're not effing around and finding out, you're good to go. There's really, I mean, there's always, some weird, I'll tell you this, it's way more dangerous here. Now, where I'm at now is safe, but when I lived in Atlanta, forget it. It's way more dangerous than Acapulco. It's not even close. Like, I couldn't even leave anything in my car seat and the windows busted out. Like, nothing. Like, I had 3 or 4 windows busted out. My neighbor got robbed. My other neighbor got robbed, and she got knocked out. I mean, it was... even then, it wasn't like that dangerous in a sense, like because life goes on. But it was dangerous as far as like you had to watch your ass. Down there, it was like I'm wandering around at 2 a.m. in flip flops. Actually, I don't go out in flip flops, but it's not. It's chill. It's chill. I mean, there's like you said, there's an outside chance maybe some gang fight goes on when you're in the. I mean, that's like 1 in a million that's going to happen. It's really safe, especially where we were. Bonfield Beach is like, what I really liked about it was that it's not, it's all like, it's like almost like a slum beach in a sense. It's like down there it's like working class, but it's like, you don't see that here. There's no beach property here where you're going to have like houses with no running water and like dogs running around everywhere. Everything's taken out here. Where there it's like, I was like, man, I'd like to get a place down here. And plus you can do whatever you want. Like you can build anything you want down there. They don't care. There's no like restrictions or zoning. You're just like, I'm just going to build something. They don't care.
No, they don't care. They're like, hey, if it collapses, well, it's on you,
Yeah, exactly. Which is how it should be. That's how it should be. And nobody's more motivated to not have your house collapse on your head than you when you're building it.
Yeah, that's kind of an important thing. And two, most of the houses down there, it's all cinder block.
Right.
So, there's probably a reason why they use cinder block down there. It's better when the hurricanes come. Oh, no, excuse me, the natural disasters.
It's also cheap, isn't it? Yeah. It's also cheap, isn't it?
I think everything's cheap in Mexico, man.
And the people there were like, they're so, like after a few days, it just relaxes you. They're just so chill. Like everybody's in just relax mode. All right. So anyway, so where are you from? Where were you born and raised?
I was born in San Jose, California.
Okay.
And I lived in San Jose, but I pretty much grew up on the San Joaquin Delta. Every spare minute my mom had, we were out on our boat. And so from a very young child, my whole life, I grew up on the water. In fact, my mom tells me, because I wasn't out of the womb yet, she was water skiing with me at 9 months pregnant.
Really?
That's a... Put it like this, more than half the stuff that I got exposed to today, CPS might be called in. It was a real crazy time in the 70s, and my mom was very, very independent and a very free woman. She wasn't going to let anything stop her. She could do man stuff better than most men could do it. And from a young child, I enjoyed a lot of freedom. Now, she kept good boundaries on my freedom. And when I would go out of them, she was very skilled at making sure that I got back into them. Because this was it back in the days where nice little swat on the ass, put Johnny in line or Dave in line pretty damn quick. But because of that, and growing up in that environment, I was free to do anything I wanted. And I remember at 4 years old, my mom taking my life jacket off and said, "You don't need this anymore. Go swim." And that's what I did. And in the 70s back then, it was a lot different than it is now. A lot more freedom. You basically do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Here's an example. Drinking on boats and driving. Now, it's just as stringent, if not more stringent, than the DUIs you get on the road. And there's good reason. Because you crash a boat in the water and you get thrown out, and guess what? You're not going to land on a hard road or a grassy field. You're going to land in a deep water. But back then, there was no BUIs. And another thing, too, is people were more responsible back then. I know it sounds crazy, drunks being responsible. Yes, they were responsible drunks. They knew how to drive their boats. And in that context of growing up in this kind of very free environment, you know, I get exposed to things like Playboys very young. I learned how to cuss very well at a very young age, which I'm still working on curbing that because sometimes there's certain words come out that I don't want to come out. And drinking, I got drunk the first time when I was 8 years old because I was the bartender of the boat. I could pour a mean drink at 8 years old. And I remember one time there'd always be a little bit left in all the drinks. So I was like, and after a while, yeah, I was pretty plowed. And I remember my mom's friend going, "Damn, Rody, look at your kid. He's all drunk." And I'm like, eh. So, God, I could go on to my livelihood for that. But it was very free. And it formed who I am today. I think in a lot of reasons, it gave me a wide perspective of life, because I didn't grow up in a little neighborhood like all my friends did, you know, the ticky-tacky houses and this and that, and their very regimented schedule. No, that wasn't it. It was like, well, I'm on the Delta. We get up there. Mom says, "All right, you know where the boat is. Bye-bye now." There were times when I remember my mom would take off. We'd be out there, and all of a sudden she'd jump on somebody's boat and just take off. And I'm like, We asked me, "Hey, have you seen my mom?" "Oh, yeah, Jeffries and all them took off the Windmill Cove and this and that party." I was like, "Oh, man. Hey, can I sleep on your boat tonight, man?" I did that all the time. It was like a community. It was like a family. So that's kind of just a background of my early childhood. And then...
Well, hold on. Was your father around? Or was it just you and your mom?
No, it's just me and my mom.
And then did you have brothers and sisters?
I have a stepbrother, yes.
So your mom got remarried, basically?
Yeah, she got remarried when I was like 3.
Okay.
And they were married, they separated, got back together. And that was another part of my life that definitely left a mark, if you understand. And my stepbrother I still call him my brother. To me, even though we're not blood, there's never been a differentiation of, right, "Oh, you're my stepbrother." No, we're brothers, and we've always been brothers.
You're lucky for that. That's not always the case.
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of times step siblings don't get along. They don't.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're lucky you have somebody that you actually bonded with and became a sibling with.
Yeah. And to this day, he's the one that introduced me to playing guitar at a young age. I still play today. In fact, I just bought Martin last week. I finally upgraded after 30 years. I was like, well, that old guitar I got's kind of done its thing, and it's time for me to upgrade. So I learned that from him. Learned a lot of things from him. Learn how to roll good joints.
Well, you were saying something, so that was a big deal for your growth. How so? I cut you off about the stepbrother thing.
Oh, well, just that whole part of my life. Well, my stepdad was a very, and I don't want to get too far down in the weeds, was
Fair
a
enough.
severe abusive alcoholic.
Okay.
Not so much physical, but every once in a while. And he was a 6'4", mean, ornery Texan that loved to fight. And he was good at fighting. Here's a case. Here's an example. He gets pulled over all fucked up, right? 2 cops come out. He gets out of the car, beats him to the ground, knocks them both out, leaves them in the middle of the fucking street, gets into his truck, and drives back to the bar. That's the type of guy John was. So it was, let's just say I got to know the adverse side of alcoholism at a very young age. And I'm very fortunate in the fact that I made a vow to myself and said that there's 2 things in a relationship I will never, ever do. The first one's beat and the other one's cheat. And thank God that alcohol gene missed me, even though I do love my tequila and a good drink. I can honestly say that, no, I'm not an alcoholic. I can take it, I can leave it, but I do sure as hell like it. So that formed some scars that turned into healing as I became a young adult. All that pain and vitriol and that toxic emotion I stuffed down inside of me. That was my survival mechanism. So I was essentially emotionally dead up until 24. And then, well, my girlfriend at the time started dating my best friend and my roommate, and I thought I was cool with it. And I wasn't. At least up here, I was cool with it. Here, no, a whole nother thing. And that just broke open this whole dam of all that stuff I've been putting in my emotional shit bag. And that started a very long, painful, but very fruitful journey on healing and getting rid of that toxicity and getting to know who I am, to be able to take that pain out and not only get rid of it, but to understand it and get to love it, if that makes sense. And that took me about 1.5 years, but I went from completely emotionally dead. Now, I knew how to fake it real well. I knew when to laugh, how to laugh, when to get mad, how to, hell, I should have gone into acting. But after that, I went for the other end of the scale, where I was almost empathic at times. And thank God for that. Thank God for my whole journey. Even though that part of it was very painful, it gave me a different view on the world, on emotions, on psychology, and everything else that I would not have that level of understanding had I not gone through that whole process. So that's a lot to unpack.
Did you, when you were talking about your 1.5 years, did you employ any practices, or was it just something that happened over time?
I had some good tools. I had a really good book that was called Rebuilding or something. It's how to get over a breakup. And it was one of those really good tools that was just gave me a lot of good tools. And then I went to a psychologist, not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist. Didn't go straight. 5 lessons, 5 sessions. And after the 5th one, she says, well, Dave, you're kind of screwed up right now, but it ain't that bad. And you're on a good path, and you're going to get over this. Now, your insurance is over, so I could start charging you $175 an hour. Keep in mind, this was about 1990 money. Or I can do what I do best, and that's concentrate on people who have severe problems. But it's your call. I'll accept you as a patient. And I said, no, I'm good. I'm good. Bye-bye.
So one of the things about the show, and I bring this up a lot, is that people that have had success in the machine, the clown world, Barnum world, but they're mavericks, but they've also maintained their integrity, like real success. Like you said, you didn't take the coof jab, and you gave up. Sounds like something you really love to do. And I'm always trying to figure out if there's a pattern, and I'm discovering that people are just kind of born this way. You might be the first one that actually, it seems like your mother had a lot to do with your ability to maintain your integrity and your independence.
Mm-hmm. Very much. She was the rock that got me through all those hard times. And she also believed in dragging me everywhere she went. You know, I was a package. We were a package together. So wherever she went, I went. So yeah, I grew up in bars. When I was 10 years old, I could outshoot most adults on the pool table or the dartboard. But it was a unique experience. And even with all the BS, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Right. Right. So you go on, did you go to college? What did you went to the military, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Did you go to trigger time?
No, I went in pre-war. Only trigger time we had was when we had to qualify once a year, and then of course basic training. I realized 3 weeks after I turned 18, I woke up one day and realized that damn, I'm an adult, and I got to start making a plan because I'm an adult. You know, my mom was always my whole life. She said, 18, son, 18 out the door. So I had two choices at the time. I could either enroll in college, but then again, I'd probably spend more time at the keg parties than I would with my nose in a book. So I knew I'm going to flunk out right now. So I can hold off on that. Or I could join the Army, learn a trade, grow up a little bit, and live in Germany for 3.5 years. So, of course, the choice was easy. The land of beer, 3 years, sign me up. So found a recruiter, entered in as a medical lab technician. And when I got to Pirmasens, West Germany, I realized that, no, I'm not going to work in a medical lab. I got selected to work in one of those little secret sites that we hear about that are not, according to treaties, supposed to exist. And that was a chemical weapons munition site. And this is the old style chemical weapons. It wasn't binary. Now, in order to make a chemical weapon active, it requires two parts mixing together. They're both inert. The ones that we had were the Korean War stockpile, where it was all in there. And we had VX, and then we had GB. So I did that, had a great time in Germany, never worked so little in my entire life. You know, got to go to places that people only dream about. I lived right on the French border. So if I was wanting to go over and party in France, it's a 20-minute drive, just pop over. Paris was like, been there, done that, don't feel like going back. Traveled all over Europe, basically just would get in my car. I learned this from another friend, and we had these road trips where we wouldn't have a destination, we'd have a direction. So we're going west, and we just drove west until we found a place that we wanted to spend the night at, usually sleeping, half passed out in the back of the car. And then next day, drive back, did that all over the place. Spent time on the Mediterranean, really just had some good times. And if I had a good memory, I'd have very vivid memories of this. But that's kind of what I did that and realized that this life ain't for me. I realized the minute I got off the bus at basic training and some big strange guy got in my face, that the idea of me retiring this in the military was not happening. And I essentially just started counting days. I have how many days left till I'm a civilian again?
How long did you do it for?
3 years.
So when did you get into all this shit? All this conspiracy, so-called freedom, you know.
Well,
when did you start doing all this? Was it always like that, or did you start doing it during the coof?
No, it's always been like that. I've been like that my whole life. Even as a young kid, I was always into those. Time Life used to have a series, a mystery series, anything that had to do with ghosts, pyramids, witchcraft, anything like that. I always found a fascination with. And then when I was 14, I think it was, I became a Christian. And then got turned on to the Bible and the prophecies within the Bible. They just fascinate me, and they still do to this day. one of them was the prophecy that talks about world government. When the Antichrist comes at the end times, he's going to form a world government where the beast is going to be at the head of it. Mm-hmm. And I could, at 14 in the mid 80s, I could look around in society and see the real potential that this can happen, most likely will happen, and it could even happen in my lifetime. So that was where I really got into the world government. That was kind of my entrance into it. And then from there, it just took off. I was reading books. I would get cassette tapes occasionally. I think I might even had a couple of Bill Coopers. Those are hard to get. Someone come by and like, whoa, dude, that's gold, man. And that started a fascination. And once I started getting into that, then I started to get into world government, how it functions, to, such as the Council on Foreign Relations, when nobody knew who it was, the trilaterals, didn't know about the Bilderberg Group at that point. And this was kind of, got into that was in the early 90s. And then about 2001 or 2002, I was in my buddy's shop. And he's laughing at me going, hey, Dave, conspiracy TV. I was like, what? Check it out. Conspiracy TV. And it was Winamp at the time, the Winamp player. And they had little shorts, little videos, low resolution videos. And I saw this cat named Alex Jones talking about all this world government stuff that I've kind of been studying. And I was like, hey, I need to learn more about this cat. So I did. Eventually became an info warrior. Yeah, the follies of youth. I'm a former and reformed InfoWars, so everybody out there, I want that to be absolutely clear. And then, because what I liked about Alex back in the early days, in the early 2000s, is his whole thing, it's not about Alex Jones, it's about the information. And he brought on a wide array of different guests at the time. And that's what I used to listen to. I always fast forward through his rants, and I'd get to his guests. So started hearing about Kathy O'Brien, G. Edward Griffiths, things like that. So I started learning about MK Ultra. Ooh, that's a rabbit hole that I loved. I went down deep on that one. Read Transformation of America by Kathy O'Brien. And that, I don't know, Drew, are you familiar with Kathy O'Brien?
No.
You're not?
No.
Oh, you need to. She is a legitimate, 100% bona fide MK Ultra survivor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. I've heard this name before. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got into that, and then it
keep going on her though. Sorry, not to cut you off. Tell me more about her though, because I'm not an expert, but I have heard her name.
Well, she wrote a book called The Initial One's Transformation of America. She came from a generational family that had generational sex abuse. Her dad sold her into the MK Ultra program at a very young age. She went through extreme horror that you and I can't even comprehend as a young child, to shatter her mind and to basically make her Sybil-like, multiple personalities.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what MK Ultra is. It's just have like this compartmentalized personality that they can make a killer out of you. That's one of the. Mm-hmm. But go ahead.
No, man. You want to interrupt any time, please. Sometimes I babble too much.
No, go ahead.
But she was using what's called the presidential model. She was smoking hot. So one of her altars was a sex altar. Another one was a messenger. Because of the very nature of her mind at the time, she had a photographic memory. And what they would do is they would activate the certain persona. Like for the messenger, they would tell her something. She would absolutely memorize it, and then they'd turn it off, and she'd have no idea in her mind that even exists. So if she got captured, say for instance, they could torture her all she wants, and then she would never give it up because her mind does not know that altar has that information. Mm-hmm. And she was about ready to testify in Congress, and they're like, yeah, you can be dismissed.
Wait, is she still alive, this woman?
Yeah, you should get her on her show. Charlie just had her, dude. I think Charlie.
Oh, that woman. Yeah, he just had her on. I got to listen to that. Yeah, Charlie, that's macroaggressions. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Maverick with Charlie Robinson.
Who's the woman that just killed herself, suicided herself? What was that woman? The Epstein woman? What was her name?
Drew Frey.
Well, I listened to a story, I think it was her, where she said that they were at dinner and they had adopted some kid, and their parents were basically making her and her siblings kill the kid at dinner.
Oh, that wasn't.
It might not be Dufresne. I don't know. But yeah, it's so evil. It's hard to even. I mean, people just can't even fathom how wicked this stuff is and how evil these people are. That's one of the tricks that they have, and I've said it time and time again. That's a line in Jones' Plantation was like, most people can't imagine somebody like you exists, and then he says, "That's our greatest advantage."
Yeah,
he's making people. Go ahead.
Oh no, that was one of my favorite dialogue sections of that.
Yeah.
When Mr. Jones was talking to Mr. Smith, and he just laid it out. This is how we do it. He's just like, "You people exist," and he says that is our greatest advantage, or something like that. Really delivered. Maurice did a great job with that character, by the way.
Well, he says, To wield real power, you must be willing to do what most consider unthinkable. That's a great line. That's true.
It's true.
But they don't just do it for power. They do it because they are. Well, there's multiple reasons, right? They're into the dark arts. They're into it. They get off on it. Okay, so you're studying this stuff, and then the coup hits. What do you think? Because I mean, were you like me? Like I immediately like, this is complete horse shit. This is a. Were you immediately like, this is absolute horse shit, what's going on here, kind of thing?
Yeah. I started hearing the hype, and then I just sold my house, so I was staying out at my buddy's place. So I landed another place, and all of a sudden his teenage kids come home. I'm like, "What are you guys doing home?" "Oh, they're closing the schools for 2 weeks because of COVID." I'm like, "They are now, are they?" And that's pretty much the point where I looked around. I said, "This is a con. This is not about health or disease. This is about power and control." And every day that went on just reinforced that theory more and more and more. And that whole rabbit hole, I'll just say this. I knew it was BS, especially when it was the Department of Defense that was in charge of the COVID response. I'm like, what? Nah, this is a con. And of course, I was called crazy. I was called the conspiracy theorist. You're killing grandma. Why aren't you wearing your mask? You don't get the shot. What? You don't trust science? What? What? Who knows more about this? You are Dr. Fauci. I took it head on. I knew it was bullshit, and I knew that I was going to catch that flack because of it. And I also knew that I wasn't going to fold. If I lost friends, then they were not true friends. If I lost opportunities, then they weren't true opportunities, if that makes sense.
If you've got to lie to do it, then it's not worth doing.
Exactly.
I mean, if you got to sell, like, I'm supposed to play along in this theater with you. Like, I'm not doing it. Though that plays, how much does that play into your one world government? It's not a theory. It's something they're actually doing. They've written about it. It's all over the place. And do you still think that's going to happen in our lifetimes?
Yeah. It could.
Could.
Because we don't know if tomorrow we could walk out and get hit by a bus or get shot in the head by a random bullet.
No, normal lifespan, let's put it that way. What's your expected lifespan? How about that?
I think it will.
I think so.
If they're really consolidating and putting everything into high gear. Now, will it succeed? No.
I don't think it will either.
It'll be a disaster for the world. And I hope to God that I'm wrong. But they're going to try. And they're not even hiding it anymore, Drew. It used to be that they would lie to us about it, right? Oh, there's no such thing as the world government. This America boy, crazy, blah, blah, blah. Now they don't even hide it, man. It's like, oh, yeah, WEF, and you got Klaus Schwab, whatever that idiot moron's name is.
Yuval, whatever his name is.
That sick son of a bitch.
Oh,
Humans are now hackable enemies. He looked like some...
These really useless people. Well, How much you think? I wonder how much of this like Israel horse shit has to do with that.
It's all part of the game.
I think
It's
it
all
is,
part
yeah.
of the game. I see what's going on out in the world in a metaphoric sense as if a giant drama, a giant stage play. And what the majority of people see are the actors on stage, and they think that that is reality and those people are real. And so like in wrestling, they start to side up. Well, that guy is my character and that guy is my character. And if you don't like my guy, then F you, I'm going to whoop your ass. You're crazy. And they fight amongst each other. Then they'll bring in other things and they'll bring in the propaganda, and everybody in the audience is just overwhelmed by it, thinking this is reality. Meanwhile, they never ask any pertinent questions because people have been taught, dumbed down. Charlotte Iserby really laid that out well. To not think, to not critically analyze. It's not cool to be smart. And then the advent of the cell phones that are now replacing basic knowledge or functionality that we have, being replaced by it. So people are losing language, the ability to write, the ability to critically analyze. So when I saw this coming on and this whole let me go back to the stage play. So because of this, because of the programming that's been laid down, they don't have the cognitive ability to ask questions like, who's the director? Who wrote the score on that one? Hey, man, who's the grips up there? And, of course, they never ask, well, then, who's the executive producer that flipped the bill for this whole show? And in the context of that, when you get backstage, you realize that what you see on stage is an illusion. It's created. And that it consolidates as you go higher up the ladder of stage power to the executive producer, the man that's in charge of everything, the man that can fire, hire, rewrite, or do whatever. And I see the world and the power structure much in that metaphoric sense, is that the people that we're seeing on the stage, the news stories that are happening is all for the public's distraction and stress. Charlie Robinson talks a lot about the strategy of tension, which I think is very applicable, especially to today. So you asked me about Israel. Yes, I think it's all part of it. We are now seeing the final manifestations of plans and agendas, it's my belief, that have been in existence for hundreds, if not thousands of years. In fact, Manly P. Hall, probably one of the foremost researchers into the occult, Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, wrote a book called The Secret Destiny of America. And it talks about America's role in this coming world government. And that this group, I think it's not the process, because that's the process of the final judgment, and those are a bunch of psycho killers. The quest, I believe he referred to it, had been around for thousands of years, fomenting these plans. And what we are seeing today, in my opinion, is the final manifestations of these plans. And they're putting the bus on high, man. They're really cranking this thing on strong.
Well, Catherine Austin Fitts talks about Mr. Global, and she thinks Mr. Global is a supernatural force, whether it be an alien or whether it really just be like a supernatural, which is more what I believe than aliens. I think they're supernatural. And what compels me to think that this is probably likely, and I keep banging on about this, is because when you're talking about thousands of years, I just don't think human beings have that kind of, I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't think they have that kind of capacity, that kind of to organize and plan and keep it going like that. Like, I will be disappointed if it's just a bunch of assholes that have been organizing for 2,000 years. Like, I think there's something way more sinister and powerful, and maybe even groups of people or supernatural things that don't even really consider time like we do. 2,000 years to us is a long time. Could be not. They may be on a completely different timeline. I I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but it was just shock. Let's put it. Everything's on the table at this point, and
Everything is.
especially with that COVID, with the coof shit. I don't want to get thrown off of YouTube, but just the level of organization between all these so-called countries, especially ones that are supposed to be enemies and everything. It's just too organized. It's too thought out. It's too long term for me to not believe that there's something else going on here. That obviously something else going on besides what meets the eye, but something going on here more than just the physical realm that we're able to, or the tiny little bit of the realm that we're living in that we're able to see and comprehend.
I agree. I think there's a very much a believer that there's a spiritual realm around us. And side note, when you break down our range that we can perceive in,
Right,
it's
it's
minuscule.
tiny. Minuscule.
It's minuscule upon minuscule on everything that can be perceived. I just lost my train of thought for a second there. Refresh my memory.
Yeah, you're just talking about perception. Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, it's, this world. Oh, I got it. Yeah, I believe that there is a spiritual battle on, and it is in realms with principalities that we cannot conceive. And you brought up a very good point about the planning and the time. If it wasn't for a supernatural force manifesting itself within humans, now I don't mean physical, but the occult rituals, the black magic. You're hanging out with Mr. Lucifer, who's a dark dude, kind of a paradox of names. I do believe that influence is what's driving the things that we're seeing today. I mean, how could you not, even if you don't believe in the afterlife or the esoteric, just the things that are happening in this world are evil, man. It's just evil is everywhere. It's all, I mean, look at pop music now.
Yeah.
Heck, I used to think it was bad when Motley Crue would do this or Dio would do this.
But it was then. It was bad, though. See, we didn't realize. See, the 90s and the 80s, things seemed like they thought they worked. It seemed like they worked.
Mm-hmm.
But that stuff was already, we didn't notice it.
No.
If you go back and watch old 80s and 90s music videos and you're like, holy shit, how did I miss this? There's pedophilia, there's Satanism, there's real degenerate sexuality, there's all kinds of hints of degenerate homosexuality. I mean, it's all there. And I've said this. I was watching, I was playing with my daughter, and there was 80s music videos on, but we had the sound off.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking over, and all I was seeing was the imagery, and not the music wasn't taking me away. Right. And I was like, oh my God, I never noticed this shit. There was pentagrams everywhere, burning pentagrams, just everything you can think of. And I'm like, yeah, because we thought everything was working, and we didn't realize that we were at the top of the roller coaster and it was about to go down. And all that stuff was being fomented at that point, and now here we are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here we are. And all those old timers that were like, they're going to want to do this, and they're going to want to have babies, and they're going to want to do this. And we're like, oh, shut up, Grandpap. They just want to love each other, or whatever it was.
Right.
The only thing they got wrong is they underestimated it. They could have never dreamed that it's gotten this bad.
No.
And the thing is, if there's such evil in the world, and it's so obviously there's the opposite. That's where I've really come to God with this whole thing, is because it's supernatural, it's evil. There's obviously the equal and opposite opposing force. And I'll tell you this, this Gavin Newsom guy, whether he's the Antichrist or whether he's some sort of a manifestation to bring in, that guy is evil. I've been around, I've been doing this living thing for a while. I have very good instincts on people, especially men. I can really, people in general, and I know archetypes, that's my thing. And that guy is really bad. He is a really, really bad person. And he gets off on doing evil things. He's a sick fuck. And I have a feeling he's going to get into the White House. I could be wrong. But there's something off about that guy in a way that I've never seen. I mean, all these presidents are assholes, but I mean, this guy is something, there's something off on that dude.
Yeah, I agree. I had, for like 5 years, my next door neighbor was a political consultant. And in the 90s, he was in that milieu of the San Francisco, Pacific Heights, Nancy Pelosi, Gavin Newsom Brown circle, and the stories that he told and what these people did blew my mind. Willie Brown. Okay, here's a great one.
Yeah,
Willie Brown
was the mayor of San Francisco for a while,
and the state speaker of the California Assembly. One of the most powerful.
Kamala
people.
Harris slept with and got moved up into the system by sleeping with Willie Brown.
That's how she got started. She got started sleeping with him,
and he was married too, by the way.
Oh,
at the time.
Wasn't
he married
Gavin
at the
Newsom?
time?
Yeah, probably. I mean, Gavin Newsom screwed his best friend's wife while they were both married. I mean, these people don't think in morality the same terms that we do.
No. I want to cut you off. In fact, it's actually the way this type of mentality thinks is that if you have an opportunity to screw somebody or get something or take something for yourself, not only is it your right to do that, but it's also like frowned upon if you don't. It's also like wrong if you don't. Like the more that you do that, the further up you go. It's like what Bill Cooper said. You get to a certain point, and whether he's right or not, I don't know, but metaphorically at least, but he might be spot on. And Behold the Pale Horse, he said, you get to a point and they tell you if you want to keep going, you got to spit on the Bible. Mm-hmm. And it's that kind of voracious, we'll call it satanic, I would say even demonic soul. But go ahead.
No, I agree with you. It gets real dark in the world. And, I know normie friends that I don't even go deep into the subject of the occult, and they look at me either with that fluoride stare. Mm-hmm.
They look at you like you're saying the moon's made out of cheese or something.
Exactly. Or that trigger effect, they got anger, conspiracy, they get on the defensive. Never once do they say, that's it. I don't think that's correct. Hey, Dave, you got some sources or some resources I could actually look into this?
Right.
Never does that happen, man. I've offered it to them. Oh, yeah, I'll look at it. Hey, dude, did you see that video I sent you about the Priskers and how they are funding the trans movement that is infecting our society? No, but what's wrong with trans kids? Love is love. Mm-hmm. You're like, all right, I quit trying to open up other people's eyes a long time ago. My adage is this: if you want to know, man, I will teach you and show you as much as you need to know. But if you don't want to know, I ain't going to waste my breath on you.
No.
Oh, no.
Not even 1 second of a time. It's just a complete waste of time. You give them a shot, and if they just knee jerk, you're just not. Their programming is not ready to accept that if it ever will be. Mm-hmm. And you have to keep in mind, a lot of these people really are NPCs. They're here to annoy us. They're here to challenge us to see if we're going to maintain our integrity. That's what their job is. I'm convinced of it. And I think the difference between by the way, this is something Roseanne Barr said. And I'm not even a big Roseanne Barr fan, but she said this, and she said that the difference between NPCs, she went off more of the, she went off a little bit that I was like, okay, we're getting a little weird here, but maybe she's right. But basically, and I agree with this theory, is that the NPCs and non-NPCs is NPCs, when presented with new information, cannot change their mind because they're programmed. They can't change their mind. So they are programmed a certain way to do certain things, live a certain life, and never change their mind. Where non-NPCs, real players, when presented with new information, change their mind.
Yeah, I think it's important. Have you ever met those people that think they're perfect and you can't tell them a damn thing? You can't, but they'll criticize everybody else. They are the most screwed up people that I've ever met in my life. And they're like those NPCs. They're programmed. I'm the greatest and you can't tell me anything. I'm like, dude, you're a horrible person. You lie, you cheat, but you know everything. Okay, that's fine. At least I know who I'm working with now. I can protect myself. So you were talking about NPCs, something that popped in my mind. Did you hear that study that something like 30, some crazy percentage of people have no inner dialogue?
Is that true? How do they know that? I've heard that study. It's worse than 30. It's crazy higher. I think it might be like half or 70. I don't know. I don't remember, but I need to look into that study, and I want to read about that study. It's pretty shocking. How would they know? I guess I asked them, do you have an inner dialogue? But
what's that?
You'd figure they'd be like, "Oh, I think I want a Snickers bar. No, I want a Milky Way. I mean, that's inner dialogue, right?
I don't know, man. I wish I could shut my inner dialogues off. I don't have just one dialogue. I've got about 20 people in my head, and they're all competing for one mouth.
Yeah.
So it gets really crowded up here. I have it takes me an hour to an hour and a half to get to sleep every night because my mind is just going crazy, that inner dialogue. And for me, I'm like, how does one not have that? I just have a hard time processing what it would be like to survive if you couldn't reason, if you couldn't think. Are these people, like you said, just programmed, and the only thing that they can do is react to outside stimuli?
It could be even worse. I mean, like NPC obviously is a non-playable character from a video game. So you go into the game and it's like, "Hi, would you like a knife or would you like a gun?" But if you think about it in the game of life, I mean, they're going to be born into this family, then you're going to go into this job, and then you're going to have these kids, and then that's your whole gig. And to me, like I said, they're here to obstruct and annoy us and test us that are actually humans, to see, thinking humans, to see if we're going to have the strength and the integrity to stay true, I guess is the best way to put that right now on the spot. But I mean, some worse than others. I mean, I just think about some of the, people just want to go past 2020. I mean, nobody really has sat down and gone, man, how fucking crazy that was. And how the NPCs were just out. Like, it was so insane what we went through. And it was just like, it happened so fast. And I'm really glad it happened. But I didn't know there was this many dipshits living around us. I didn't even think of the NPC thing before then. Even though I was with it at that point to a degree, but I didn't realize to a degree the situation we really are in. It's
how easily brainwashed our population is across the world. I mean,
how submissive so many people are. Even there's got to be NPCs that are just submissive, like just.
Oh, yeah. That whatever an authority figure tells them to do, they will do it without questioning. But they're the same ones that are like, how did those Nazis go along with Hitler? Yeah, oh, my God. It's just like, really, you have to ask that question after what we went through. And y'all were the ones that were buying all of the propaganda. You were ostracizing people in your life and others. You were going in the street with your mask on and screaming at people across the street who didn't have a mask on. You had this self-righteous thing, and 70% of the people fell for it. 70% of the people got a boop. Do
you believe that number? I think that number's lower. I think that because they want to make people that didn't get it.
Not my friends, man.
No?
Not my friends.
Well, you're out in Cali.
No, man.
You're in Cali.
Yeah, I live in Cali. But I have one of my close friends didn't take it. We're on the same page. Everybody else did. I have another good friend that took the first two, but that was just because of pressure from his family. His family says, if you want to see your mother in us again, you have to be vaccinated. We will not see you if you are not vaccinated. And he took the first two of them. And then I started really jumping down his throat saying, dude, do you realize what you're doing? And I gave him the real Anthony Fauci book. And he's a voracious reader. And he read that. And he's like, oh, I'm never taking that again. I was like, good. Thank God. And because, mostly I think what I've seen in the evidence is the people that took the boosters and the multiple boosters that really are being damaged. But I'm no scientist. But, if you took the first couple and you made it this far, there's a good chance that, you might have gotten the sailing boop because it was class 3 trials at the time. And they always, or it could have been, one of the lesser doses that you got. But it's the people that kept getting shot after shot after shot after shot. And people are dying all around them. There's turbo cancers all around them in kids. They see all this disaster that's happening physically, and they just cannot, Drew, put two and two together. They're dumbfounded. Why is this happening? Here's an example. Whenever somebody comes up with one of these funky diseases or dies or loses a kidney, I come to them with a position of curiosity, and I always ask, what caused this? And I get the same answer every time. They don't know. They don't know. And every response I got was that virtually. And I didn't want to be that guy, because some of these people had these conditions or people close to them had just died or come down with these positions. I didn't want to be that guy and go, did you think about the shot?
Well, it's the thing. That's what's so nefarious about the whole thing is that you can't nail it down that it definitely was that, even though we know it. All this shit's happening because of that, but they can't. It's the sudden death syndrome and all the things. It's like you can't. It's hard to nail it down. Like you just kind of know, but you can't prove it. That's what's so evil genius about the whole thing.
Oh yeah, but I mean, if you look at the statistics, excessive death rate, it is consistent up until 2021. Even during 2020, when we had the Alpha and the Delta strains, the most supposedly deadliest strains amongst them, there was no significant change, statistical change, in the excessive deaths from the previous years to 2020. 2021, all of a sudden that curve just started going up and up and up, and it's still continuing to rise. So you look at the data, you can see when the starting point of the diseases of the excessive deaths. And it correlates with the introduction of the boop boop. But because of a lot of effery, if you will, and propaganda, that was swept under the carpet to the majority of the people. But meanwhile, there's people like you and I who our eyes are open that we see this so clearly. It's just like, yeah, dude, look at it. Look at the data. But we don't know what's causing the excessive death rate to go up. Like, look at the data. And I always say, look, first thing that you do when you're trying to figure something out, especially medical doctors, they say, what changed in the environment? What changed? That's the number one question that one should ask. What changed in that specific time period of all humanity was the introduction of the poop poop. So I'm like, dude, it's so clear, but man, the majority of people out there just for some reason, cognitive dissonance programming, just either refuse to accept it or do not have the ability to accept it.
It's too painful. It's too painful. I mean, it's like he says in Barnum, they'd have to face a lifetime of programming.
Yeah.
They've been lied to, and most people are just not capable of that.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Yeah.
Another great line, man.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Love you. Thank you for your service.
If you want to continue to believe the bullshit that that you've been told, well, you kind of have it coming. I'm gonna. You keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to keep on living the good life and getting rich. Thank you for your service.
There it is. Thank you for your service.
Paraphrasing him, but yeah. I mean, I'll just leave this 2020 thing with this. It's just the whole thing was run on that ridiculous test. They ran 40. I looked into that, and it's like 40 cycles is like. It doesn't mean anything to have. The guy who invented that. I mean, there's a video of him saying Fauci's a complete scumbag, doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, won't debate me. Guy ended up dying right when this came out, when that video started going around. His wife thinks he was killed, but hey, it's all a bunch of coincidences. And if you have a test that can give false positives, that you can run. And Fauci's been running these illness scams with that test. This isn't the first one, and I mean, it's so clear. You can just see that obviously if they're going to have this fake test and then you go in and you get a positive and you're not sick, they can make it seem like there's this giant thing running around raging through the population. And it's like, like you said, I don't understand how there's so much contradictory information. There's so many lies. it's so obvious to me that I don't even need to know the details of what's going on. I just know I'm being lied to, and I know sure as hell I'm not going to do what they're prescribing me to do, especially the way they were doing it, with the Biden going, get the vax, get the vax. Like, I'm like, fuck you, you fucking weirdo. I don't even know you. I don't respect you. I don't like you. I know you're a piece of shit. I look at your son and what you did to him. I'm not listening to you. Not that I needed that to not listen to him, but it's just like, I don't get, as you ask people these questions and I've had these conversations, like I said, they look at you with a fluoride stare. They don't have an answer.
It's
like, why did you do this? They just don't have an answer. They just don't know, and they just carry on. I'm like, well, okay. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's the world is beautiful. It's created by God, but the material world, the infrastructure of this world is controlled by unspeakably evil people. And it is evil. And that's, once you wrap your head around that, it's not a fun situation. It's not warm and fuzzy, but at least you're living with the truth, and you can try to move through the world with the truth and try to protect yourself and those around you and those that you love in some way, shape, or form with the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Drew, I feel real sorry for people whose eyes are just now starting to open up, man. So overwhelming being exposed to this. I'm like, man, y'all getting spun like a top. Y'all be getting spun like a top. And the more I learn, and this is kind of crazy, and I ask myself, why do I feel this? The more the world goes to shit, and the more I learn about the mechanisms by how it's going to shit, the more sense of calmness and peace I find within myself. And it's really weird because it should be contradictory. The things I learn about and read and study should make me spin up like a top. Angry all the time, fearful, and like Alex Jones. But it doesn't. It's kind of the opposite. And maybe it's just my personality, or maybe it's by learning the truth, you understand what's happening. And like learning how to, the magic trick of the rabbit in the hat. Once you figure out that it's just really a poor rabbit stuffed in the bottom of that top hat, and it's just a simple trick, it stops becoming magical. And by looking at things like that and seeing, oh, I know that trick, I know that trick, I know that trick, it's like, okay, I'm good. Now, I know that one of these days, I'm going to leave this sack of cells. This cosmic white pasty boy spacesuit. It's just on loan. And I want to hang out in this as long as I can. Don't get me wrong. I do not have a death wish. But I also realize that I'm going to pass to the other side. And I have another existence waiting for me that's probably going to be a whole lot better than the one I'm currently experiencing. And that, I think, alleviates a lot of fears, because I don't have a fear of death. I kind of have a fear of the prolonged act of dying. Really don't want to do it, but got no choice. And I also know that there is a greater good. There is God up there that is got our back in this spiritual war that's going on, because he's the only one that has the authority or the power to combat these dark forces and the dark force that's really truly running our world. Now, that dark force is called many things from different religions. The jinn, I think those are more along demons from Islam. You have Satan, you have Lucifer, you have all of these different things. But when I look at the different stories, they all kind of seem to be referring to the same entity. And I don't think the entity eventually is going to win. I think that God will prevail. Now, it's probably going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better, bro. And reality is you and I might not make it through it. But we got to go sometime. And at least I can check out with my integrity, knowing that in this journey that I was on, instead of leaving a path of destruction like these psychopaths are doing, I've left a path of construction. So when I check out, hopefully make it to the pearly gates, the old St. Peter. He'd be like, oh, yo, you did some real douchey stuff, nature boy. Real douchey stuff. But you did a lot of good stuff. And that far outweighs the douchey stuff. So open up the gates of heaven, little nature boy, come on in and let's give him his set of wings. And I'll be like, yeah, I made it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure. In your funny way of telling it. Yeah, I know exactly. And it also gives you courage, I think.
Yeah,
because I don't like, I'll give you a perfect example. I loved LA when I lived there. And I've always loved, cinema is like one of the great loves of my life. But my dream of being like a Hollywood director guy and winning an Oscar, I could care. I don't even want it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, someday we might retake Hollywood. And so I don't want to not wish for things. I don't want to be negative, but I'm saying that doesn't play into my decision-making in any way, shape, or form now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whereas before I was like, oh, I want to move. I was worried about this and worried about that. And it's like, to an extent, I wasn't too bad about it, but it's just given me a different level of courage. I mean, the next film that I want to do is going to be outrageous. I just don't give a fuck. I'm going to do what I need to do, and it's, a sense of calmness. I'm with you on that. Mm-hmm. So before I let you go, where is this going? Where do you think this is going? Where's this heading? Like you said, God is writing this, so of course God's going to win this. But it could be terrible. It could go for 10,000 years. We could be in some digital prison. We don't know. I don't think so. But I think actually 2030s, we're going to see a natural secession in the U.S. Hopefully states will break up, and that'll be a really good thing. Could be painful at first. That's my prediction. But either way, that's more of a pragmatic thing. Where is this going in general? Where are we headed? What's going to happen in your prediction? This is all just your prediction.
Go to speculation, Liam.
Yeah, what's your crystal ball say?
The Antichrist is going to arise.
Okay.
The stories of the Bible will fulfill themselves. People have said, well, it's a script that they're writing on. There's nothing mystical about it. My retort to that is, regardless if it was a script or prophecy, they talked about this 2,000 years ago, and it's coming true accurately. So regardless of that, this is going to happen. And as the Bible says, that these things too must come to pass, but fear not, for the time of the Lord is near, or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think that the Antichrist is what they refer to. Now, he's not going to be the Antichrist or whatever, but that archon will arise. They will try to pull this off. It could very well lead to hell on earth for a short time. But I think good's going to prevail in the long run, man. And I hope that I am fortunate enough to make it through the dark times to see the light.
When you say the Antichrist, is it going to be like a person? It could literally be like, is it going to be the Jewish Messiah that they're waiting, still supposedly waiting on their Messiah or whatever, at least the Jews today? Is it going to be that guy, or is it going to be an organization with? What's going to happen in your opinion?
It's going to sit on top of an organization. Is it the Jewish Moshiach? Well, it kind of relates to what the Bible talks about, the Antichrist. Mm-hmm. But I'm no biblical scholar, so
right.
I don't know. But it's going to be on a beast system.
Oh yeah, we're already in that.
And here's a thought to ponder on. There's a passage in the Bible. Don't know where it is. I'm not a scholar. But it pretty much says, in the end times, men will cry for death, but death will not come. And that got me thinking with the quantum computers, now that, according to Geordie Rhodes, the head of D-Wave computers, have already punched into other dimensions and taken information back from them. This is like no BS guy, and he said it. So with the advancement of AI and this quantum quantum computing that exists, I could see a couple things. That an entity, a demon, if you will, that's just lack of a better term, will be able to possess it, to possess that AI, that artificial intelligence. And there's another point that I wanted to make on that. Oh yeah, okay, the other point. So you got the AI intelligence, right? You got the sentient being, hypothetical, that's existing within it. Well, now let's look at transhumanism. The goal of all these Elon Musks, Kurzweils, these high-level psychopaths, is to download your consciousness onto the machine. So you will live forever. You shall not
gods.
die.
They want to become gods.
Will become gods.
Yeah.
Repeating the ultimate sin that Lucifer got kicked out of heaven for. Well, let's just go hypothetical and say, what if they do achieve their goals where they can download their consciousness into this entity called quantum computing and AI? And inside of it, it'll be torture like you can't even comprehend. But to the outside world, when people try to communicate, they're going to tell you all the good things about Uncle Albert, how he made it in there and he's having the time of his life in Elysian Fields. And, this is just great. Meanwhile, he's burning in electronic hell. And he ain't going nowhere, homeboy. You ain't going to die, baby doll, because you made that pact with the devil, so to say. And you took that next step. And y'all paying the price. You're going to pay the price. So I could see things like that happening in a hypothetical sense. But to fully understand what's going to happen, I don't think any of us know, Drew. The way technology is progressing so fast, what used to take 10 years to make a major impact on the society, Moore's Law, every 18 months, the speed of a computer either doubles or the size gets cut in half. That Moore's Law is not going to be so applicable in the quantum computing era because it's just hitting us faster, faster, and faster, and faster. In 6 months, look at how AI videos have improved. You're a filmmaker. I'm sure you've seen the things.
Well, a couple things. That thought you just had about your consciousness being stuck in a computer for eternity in hell. That's a great idea for a screenplay or a book. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I'm just going to say this personally, as far as AI goes and filmmaking, it ain't going to do shit. As far as that goes, it doesn't have consciousness. So there's going to be AI. This is my thought on it. I could be wrong, but there's going to be an AI film genre kind of thing that I don't think that many people are going to like that much. It's going to also, there's going to be a blend of AI animation. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to, in certain areas, that are going to lose their jobs when like technology comes along. Like animators are going to get hit. Photographers, stock photographers are already getting hit. But I don't think it's. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to do shit. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think people are overrating it. I could be completely wrong, but I don't disagree with what you're saying about these bozos wanting to download their consciousness. But what they want to do is download it and then hold it and then re-upload it to another body is what they want to do. Yeah. So they're not going to be able to do that. They'll just get stuck in the computer. That sounds like a really, like I said, a cool film.
Yeah, I think that would. You need to make it, man. You need to make it.
I don't know. That's beyond. I'm not a sci-fi guy. guy.
Well, somebody, trust me, if a bozo like me could think about that, you know that there's some script writers that already thought about that.
Yeah,
and they're pitching scripts like crazy.
Yeah. Well, they always tell you. I'm going to be twice quoting or regurgitating Catherine Austin Fitz, and I like her. It's not like I'm a big follower around or anything, but for some reason she's coming up. But she has this thing. She said that the movies are the truth and the news are the lie. The film and television is where you get the truth, and the news is where you're going to get the opposite and get the lie. And it's an interesting thing because there's so many places where they've done revelation of the method in film and television. So if that comes out as a film, we might it might actually be on its way to happening. All right, where can people find your stuff? What should they do? Obviously, for every Friday, what time? Give us the lowdown, brother.
All right. My podcast is The Third Rail with Nature Boy, broadcast live every Friday night at 5 p.m. on Rumble. You can find it on The Third Rail with Nature Boy channel, AM Wake Up channel, the TNP New Prisoners channel. It also streams live on Studio 8424. Podcasts are available wherever podcasts are served. And I'm really kind of promoting people signing up for the audio podcast, not just mine, but please click the follow button because it helps me in the algorithms and they hate me. Mm-hmm. But with the mass censorship, the RSS feed might be our last bastion of ability to communicate. And that's about it. I have a link tree if you want to find out more about me, where you can, the different places you can watch a show. Mm-hmm. Just go to the Third Rail podcast at Linktree, and that's about it, man.
And we'll put those links in the show notes. And so every Friday at 5 Pacific.
8 p.m. Eastern. 5 Pacific, 5 Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
You jump on Rumble. So that's probably the easiest, quickest way to find you, just on Third Rail Podcast on Rumble. Jump on there at 5 o'clock. Yeah. It's a great podcast. You get great guests. You can, and you interact with the audience as well. People comment and you talk to them and stuff like that. It's cool.
I got the world's best chat room. I call it my mosh pit, man. It is just elbows up, stay on your feet, and you have a good time. But you F around and find out, well, they'll take care of you in a loving way. Oh, by the way, I can also be found on X. My handle is at NBN Nature Boy, NBN as in Naughty by Nature. Or just search for me. I am the real Nature Boy. Not the Nature Boy. That's Mr. Ric Flair. I am but a humble, the real Nature Boy on Twitter.
Right on, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, it's good talking to you, man. Anytime I get a chance to hang out with you, Drew.
Are you going to go down to the third eye thing in El Paso by any chance?
No, I'm actually, that weekend, my good friend's having a wedding. And then that Monday, I'm heading off to fly into Louisville, spend a few days with my brother up there, then drive down to Atlanta. Okay. Well, actually, Roswell. You're from the area. So
yeah, I know.
Dad lives in Roswell.
Up north there.
And then drop off the rental car, hop on flight ATL, and come on home.
Well,
are you going to make it?
I'm going to try. Yeah. So I guess maybe I think I'm going to go to Acapulco this year too. It's going to be in. It's a new location. I can't remember the name of it, but it's actually like a 2-hour flight from here, direct flight.
Really?
It's like a resort town. I can't remember. It's way up north.
It's Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
Puerto Vallarta.
Are you going to that?
Oh yeah, I'm actually gonna. I'm thinking about volunteering for it, man.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Because the speakers, you know how it is. The first year you go there, it's just like mind blowing. The second time you go there, you kind of get in the groove and you know people, but it's not as magical. And the third time, I kind of want to get involved.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a smart move.
Yeah, well, like I said, volunteering, and hopefully one of these days I can be Rebecca's assistant stage manager.
Well, so I don't think Rebecca's with them anymore, but somebody else. Yeah, I think somebody else is. All right. Well, until we meet again, man. Thank you. Okay. Good talking with you, bro.
Likewise, brother.
Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the show. You can follow me on Twitter if you want at Tregsman with 2 G's and an S, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Drew Media TV. We also have a Rumble channel, Drew Media, if you prefer there. I know a lot of people don't like YouTube. Also, if you're listening to the podcast, like on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, if it's not too much of a pain and you like the show, give it 5 stars so we can get some help from the algorithm. Otherwise, all the other links to our social media will be in the show notes, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.